If there comes a day when you like me, if you're also mistreated and cursed, what will you think? What will you do? You feel hopeless and depressed. If there comes a day when you like me, if you're misunderstood and bullied, what will you think? What will you do? Would you have the blues and feel the pain? We are now virus. Discrimination's a virus. We are only parents and children. We need fairness and justice. We're all fellow beings. We share the same planet, and we are in the same boat. We're all the same. We need a tolerant world. If there comes a day when you like me, if you're misunderstood and bullied, what will you think? What will you do? Will you have the blues and feel the pain? We are now virus. Discrimination's a virus. We are only parents and children. We need fairness and justice. We're all fellow beings. We share the same planet, and we are in the same boat. We're all the same. We need a tolerant world. You will have your own lovely baby. You also have your own lovely parents. You also have your own sweet family. What will you choose to do when they're suffering? We are now virus. Discrimination's a virus. We are only parents and children. We need fairness and justice. We're all fellow beings. We share the same planet, and we're in the same boat. We're all the same. We need a tolerant
在哪里？
Oh, that's it.
Maybe after we do our show.
Walk the line and try to see me falling behind. And what could be? Oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love.
Thank you very much, Jack. Let me say, this sums it up. I am proud to hold up this sign here in Washington and across America. First, I'd like us to take a moment of silence for the 8 who were lost in Atlanta and their families who mourn them. And then another moment of silence for, unfortunately, the so many Asian Americans who have suffered violence and bigotry in so many different ways that has accelerated in this last year. Let us think of them, and let us, instead of a moment of silence, have a loud cheer that they can all hear from one end of America to the other. We
and what? Let's go, Marvel. Drop that.
Chinese and what?
Put your fist up.
Yeah, you know.
Yo, turn it up a little bit more. Let's go. Let's go. Everybody in the back. Shout out to my pops too. Here we go. Here we go. Y'all gon' learn Chinese. Y'all gon' learn Chinese. Hey, y'all gon' learn Chinese. When them hands go up, they gon' speak Chinese. New York City, make some noise. 20 years ago I said that. I swear I'm even more proud now to say it because of y'all. I'm even more encouraged, and most of all, I'm even more inspired. So I know we're already like 2-3 months away from the Lunar New Year, but I don't care. It's Lunar New Year for me every damn day. Gong Hei Fat Choi. Yo, Marvel, drop that. Put your peace signs up in the air, yo. Where's all my hip hop heads? It's New York City. Come on, let's go. Rock with me, everybody. Yo, my people keep their head up in the truest display. Do what they gotta do just to get through the day. Back in Hong Kong, where they grew up and stayed until they immigrated to the US of A. Chasing the American dream, a rough ride for my pops. Guess what? He still shut them down, open up shop in the back of the kitchen, making wontons. Late night out with my moms playing mahjong. See, I was a youngin', but the culture was inside of me. Playing cards, big two, never want that diamond 3. Every Sunday it was part of the tradition. While y'all was at church, dim sum was our religion. I'm on a quest for love, that's just part of my pursuits. No matter where I go, I'm always sticking to my roots. Unite us all, that's what I'm trying to do here. Cause for me, every day is Lunar New Year. Go! Hey, Fat Choi! Let's go, let's go!
But I ain't new here.
Right, see, no, Lord. Every day is Lunar New Year. Go! Hey, Fat Choi!
New day, new hope, but we ain't new here.
Hey, yo, Marvel, go in. Roll out the red carpet. Guess we finally arrived. 0% luck, 100% drive. For your safety, I went through that crash test. Life is a road trip, can't rely on MapQuest. This is for my sisters and my brothers struggling. Here's hoping that you can find comfort in your skin. Not better, not worse, we just equally blessed. They say we fresh off the boat, yeah, the key word is fresh. Walk a mile in my shoes, feel the pressure produced when you're mentioned in the same sentence as Bruce. Leeway, none given, hard to fill a tall order. Almost drowned in a height, now I'm just trying to be water. Chinese or not, this is for whoever will listen. Listen, we are more similar than different. Show you my world, that's what I'm trying to do here. Cause in New York City, every day is Lunar New Year! It's an honor to be amongst every person here, and I would be remiss if I didn't close this the only way that God has put on my heart. Father God, I thank you for this beautiful day, to see all these faces here of different ethnicities, different spheres of influence, different backgrounds, different age, different gender, different beliefs, different religious beliefs, different faiths. The fact is, we are more similar than we different. So God, for myself, I'm extremely humbled that my father is present, my son is present. So Father, I just pray that you protect the rest of this day, everybody coming up to speak. I pray you fill them with just peace and joy as we share and speak. And we lift up all of those that we've lost, not only in Atlanta this past few days, but all the lives that we've lost in the past month, the years, and just in the history of not only just this country, but just in society. I thank you for all those that came before me. And Father, I'm humbled, and I pray you will continue to use.
Chinatown was shut down before any other place was shut down. And there was no government order to social distance. There was no decision on the health departments or even understanding of COVID-19. Yet in all of that misunderstanding or lack of understanding, Chinatown was shut down. Chinatown was shut down because people didn't want to come here. They thought, they come to Chinatown, they're gonna get COVID. Or Flushing, or Sunset Park, or other places. By the way, there's only one Chinatown. That's right here. And for over a year, we have seen hate incident after hate incident. People saying, don't sit close to me, I don't want to get COVID. Don't walk past me, I don't want to get sick. The gestures, people being sprayed disinfectant on because we're Asian. Asian homes being vandalized, restaurants and businesses being boycotted for fear. We've seen this so many times in our country. When something goes wrong, they gotta scapegoat somebody. And who gets scapegoated? We do. Too often. And it hasn't stopped at the rude gestures. Some people call it insensitivity. I call it hate. Because I'm Asian, and I've been Asian my whole life. It's not insensitivity. When somebody's doing this to you, you know how it feels inside. I don't call it insensitivity. I know hate when I see it. Even when hate is so blatant, people don't see it. It takes a guy who drives miles specifically to an Asian business, walks out of his car with his gun, goes inside that Asian business looking to kill Asians. And he does it, he drives to another Asian business, takes his gun, and looks to shoot more Asians, and a third place to shoot more Asians. But this killer says to the sheriff, "Oh, I wasn't targeting Asian. I got no Asian hate." So the sheriff says, "He had a bad day. We're not sure it was a hate crime." And to make it even worse, to say that, yes, same with George Floyd, to say that this guy has some kind of sex addiction, further marginalizing and objectifying Asian sisters. Just like Vincent Chin almost 40 years ago, where his killing was bad enough, but the government response was even worse. To fine the killers of Vincent Chin $3,000 and put them on probation. This response in Atlanta was as bad as the killings themselves, because those killings took away 8 lives. But that government response down there has the potential to put an open target on every one of us in this country, and we will not stand for that. And it's not just killings. Less than a mile from here, the same week, we got another person being caught on camera telling an Asian American woman to go back to China. How many times have you heard that? Go back to China. Go back to fucking China. I heard it my whole life. You know, Ben was nice in his introduction. Yeah, I was the first Asian American to be elected here in New York. I wish I was like the 9th or 10th. I've been saying that for 20 years. I ran for city council because my New York City council member said that Asians are always looking to invade, not assimilate. That Asians are nothing more than rude merchants, illegal aliens, and criminal smugglers. That council member inspired me to get into politics.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Her name is Julia Harrison. You know, I've been yelling a lot these last few days, and you're gonna hear more people yelling. But I just want to say that this is an incredible showing because we care about what's happening. But it's not gonna stop at this rally. We gotta keep going to all the rallies. And it's not just about the Stop Asian Hate rallies. I see many people here who were part of the Black Lives Matter movement last summer. Don't think people are gonna hate you just because you're Asian, because they hate a lot of other people too. It's the same institutional racism that we have been facing. And in order to change that racism, we've got to be involved. Come to rallies, run for office. Maybe not come to Queens and run for Senate, but run for office. I campaign for Yuli Neal. You know, I'm just so happy to see all of you. Brothers and sisters, we can no longer be silent. I don't think we are silent, but we got to be even less silent. I want to thank my colleague Brian Kavanaugh, who is here. He represents this area in the New York State Senate. He's been unrelenting in talking about the need to protect this community. But we also have to protect ourselves by speaking up. No more hate.
No more hate.
No more hate.
No more hate.
We want justice for those victims in Atlanta.
No more hate. No more hate.
No more hate.
No more hate. No more hate. No more hate. No more hate. No more hate. No more hate.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
No more hate.
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah!
Everyone see me? All right, guys, first, excuse my voice. We actually just came from Union Square, and I want you guys to know that we are on your side. So what you guys are actually doing right here, which is a rally, we actually have a group called Run Into Protest, and we actually started in Union Square. And we actually had conversations with one another that starts as uncomfortable, but it became comfortable. And we made sure that we ended here because Jack and I spoke the other day, and I knew what you guys were doing, and he realized what we were doing, and we're all in this together. So that's why we made sure to bring our core people that came to the Run Into Protest to this event, so we all can be recognizable to one another. Let's not let the skin color or our ethnicity and culture fool each other. We are in the same fight. I am on you guys' side with what happened in Georgia on Tuesday should have never happened. We feel for you guys because it happened to us last year. They did the same thing in Georgia when they killed 9 African Americans in the church. So we feel what you guys are feeling because we've been feeling that since the day we were born. And now they're trying to turn the table, and it's white supremacists against all of us. So you have to understand that their fear is that they're going to become the minority because they know that we outnumber them together. So let's not let them dismantle what we see here. There's no one culture better than the other. We all have different ingredients to add to everything. I love you guys' food. You guys love our food. Let's not recognize, let's understand something here. What they hate is what they see. When they witness this on TV or however it is that they show it, because we know media has a way of showing things where they twist it. Understand when they see this, they're gonna hate this. But understand this is what we're gonna love, because when we see each other in the street, all we have to do, whether we strangers or not, I said this at the last protest, a simple hello goes a long ways. I don't have to know you to say what's up. I don't have to know you to say hello. I don't know if your day is good or bad, but I know a hello or a simple wave might change the scope or what has happened in the past or the morning of to make your day greater as the hours continue going. And that's what we are all about, and that's why we're here. I'm looking around, I'm looking at the front, I can't see anything but beautiful people. I look behind me, I can't see anything but beautiful people. And I'm happy that you guys invited Running to Protest to actually run over here and end over here with you guys, because we're gonna stand here and fight and do what's right so we can all come together, not as two, but as one. And the people you see on this stage, see, we planted what we planted a month ago. This is the 10th Running to Protest that we had. We have a protest every third Sunday of the month, and we make sure that we protest. We have a Running to Protest community team. The reason why we have a community team, because we make sure that we can target the right things. We come from all different backgrounds in that community team, and we make sure we do our homework. So a month ago, after we had our last protest, I approached Dawi Chow here to make sure that he knew that we was gonna come and do what was right for you guys, and me and Power made sure that we had to amplify this thing along with our Running to Protest team, and Dawi got in contact with Philip Lim and Prabhu Guru. And that's why we're here today. And I don't want to take up too much time, but what I want you to know, Asian community, that the black community that you see here, we're on your side, always will be, always have been. And again, do not let anything else fool you. I am saying it here firsthand, and everything that I say, I'm very blunt and I'm very honest. And I love each and every one of you. None of us want to see anybody else harm, but they do. And we are much greater than they. And I don't like saying who they is, because we all know who they is. So before I leave and pass this over to my partners that you see here on stage, follow my lead and repeat after me. Asian lives matter.
Asian lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go.
People wanna know.
People wanna know
who we are.
who we are.
So we tell them.
So we tell them.
Asian lives matter.
Asian lives matter.
Asian women matter.
Asian women matter.
Asian lives matter.
Asian lives matter.
Asian men matter.
Asian men matter.
Everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go.
People wanna know.
People wanna know
who we are.
who we are.
So we tell them.
So we tell them.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black women matter.
Black women matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black women matter.
Black women matter.
Everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go.
People wanna know.
People wanna know
who we are.
who we are.
So we tell them.
So we tell them.
Your life matter.
Your lives matter.
Our life matter.
Our lives matter.
Your lives matter.
Your lives matter.
Our lives matter.
Our lives matter.
Peace, y'all.
Hatred!
Say it one more time, Chance.
Stop the hatred!
How do you feel?
Good.
God bless you guys. Thank you for letting me and my son have this moment. I sincerely, wholeheartedly appreciate you all. And listening to Alice share, standing next to my son, I'm reminded, and I think all of us agree, it takes a village to raise these kids. So this is not just my son, this is our son. Your daughter is not just your daughter, that's my daughter.
Yeah.
So I love
I want to be able to love your children as much as I love mine. So, yo, God bless y'all. Chance, tell the people one more time. What do they need to do?
Stop the hatred!
Come on, let's go. Thank you guys, man. God bless y'all.
Hello. Thank you so much for having us today. Wow, what a crowd. I am so moved to see you all here today. I'm so moved by your presence, your solidarity, your signs. It gives me hope for our community. It gives me hope for our future. As some of you might know, Andrew and I spent several weeks in Atlanta recently working on the Senate races. In particular, we spent a lot of time with the Asian American community there to get out the Asian vote. And I'm proud to say that our vote made the difference. Yes. So to everyone listening, never take the Asian vote for granted. And because we were there, and among many other reasons, what happened in Atlanta hits very close to home and feels that much more personal. Like I'm sure many of you, in these last few days, I've been reaching out to my circle of Asian friends. We've just been checking up on each other, trying to process what happened. In this last year, we faced an unprecedented level of hate. And it's heartbreaking, to say the least. You know, from stabbings to slashings, being spat on, it's unacceptable. And very recently, an example that happened to me is someone said to me, stay away from me. I don't want any of your diseases. And she said this in broad daylight, in front of her friend, in front of our children, like it was something totally acceptable and normal to say. Now, some people who hear this might think, well, that's not so bad. But as we know, when you cast a people as dirty or disease-ridden, that's the first step to making them out to be subhuman. And when you look at the Atlanta mass murderer who targeted Asian women, he regarded them as nothing more than sexual objects, a stain on society that he was trying to eradicate. Now, I'm not going to get into, as an Asian woman, how racism and misogyny is a two-headed beast. But what we do know is that racism is nothing new to our country. Racism against Asians is nothing new. It existed long before COVID. But what this mass murder, what this hate crime was a wake-up call to the racism that still persists against Asians today. Now, I've been getting an education in these last few days on just how few people outside of our Asian community realize the extent of the racism against Asians. You know, for a lot of people, Asian invisibility is hitting their radar for the first time. Now, it's why it's even more important that we are here standing together today, Representation matters. Our struggle matters. The Asian American experience has to be part of the conversation. Our struggles have to be part of the conversation. We need to be at the table. And yes, we deserve to lead the table. So I thank you for being here today to represent. And now I'd like to introduce my husband, my soulmate, the father of our children, a proud Asian American, and candidate for mayor of the next New York City mayor, Andrew Yang.
Hello, New York City! How beautiful are we? This truly is the most incredible assemblage of beautiful Asian and black and brown and white human beings I have seen in quite some time. First, let's give another round of applause to my soulmate, my rock, the true rock star in our family, my wife, Evelyn. Many of you know that Evelyn herself was the victim of sexual assault by her doctor, and I found that out a number of years ago, and it ate me up. I felt like I failed her as a husband, and she went through it for a period alone, and then we shared it as a family, and then years later, she had an opportunity to potentially share that pain, her story, with the world. And as her husband, I was just awestruck by the courage for her to even consider that, to consider something so deeply personal. And I wanted to be supportive at every stage as her husband. I said, baby, like whatever you want to do, I'm 100% behind you. But I will let you all know in my heart of hearts, I wanted to get that fucking guy really bad. And after my incredible wife came forward, another 40 women came forward, and that doctor now is up on federal charges and will never harm anyone again. So that story, unfortunately, is something of a precursor to what our community has experienced over the last number of days, the last number of weeks and months. It has been staggering to see the racism against our community morph and metastasize into something dark and virulent and increasingly dangerous. I remember when I first felt it. It was a little more than a year ago today. You all probably remember too. Remember that first time when you actually got that extra glance, glare, animosity on the streets here in New York? Raise your hand if you remember that. Oh, we all remember that, don't we? And then at first you're thinking, okay, maybe that was just that one person, maybe it was just in my head, but then you kept experiencing it, and then you were like, no, this is not in my head. And then the first time you saw on video an elderly Asian woman shoved brutally to the ground, or someone spat on, or someone punched or beaten, then you thought to yourself, this is real. Raise your hand if you remember that too. Oh, we all remember that. We all remember that, and we hoped in our hearts that it would stay at that level, that it would stay just the spitting, the dehumanization on that level, but we feared that this day would come. We feared that some of our people would be shot for no other reason than their race, and unfortunately that is exactly what occurred last week in Atlanta. And I've said to anyone who'd listen, it is madness to question a 21-year-old lunatic as to his motivations when we can see clear as day that this was a hate crime. Am I right, New York City? Everyone who is Asian American knows that these women were targeted on the basis of their race. That if you go to an Asian-owned business in an Asian community, and you open the door, you know exactly who you're going to find. You know exactly who you're going to murder in this case. And as Evelyn said, we spent weeks in Atlanta, Georgia, making the case among the Asian American community that we needed to invest in our future, that we needed to get out and vote. And so it was deeply personal seeing these women's stories. I actually imagined, as I know Evelyn did, like, was there a chance that we met them when we were out among the community, knocking on doors, speaking in plazas? The Asian American community in Atlanta, if you have not been, it is amazing. I was blown away. I went down to Atlanta trying to make the case for Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff, who won and got Chuck Schumer to become Senate Majority Leader. And as Evelyn said, the entire country has many people to thank for that, but among them it is the Asian American voters of the state of Georgia. Asian Americans are 4.7% of the vote there. Do you think that did not make a difference in an election where there was a 1% margin and Asian Americans went 2-1 for the Democrats? You did the math. I did do the math, it's true. So spending time in Atlanta and then seeing the racism against our community become this murderous, this dark, has been very painful for all of us. It's been devastating and heartbreaking for so many of us. And the question is, are we going to make this mean something to our families, our community, and the country? Are we going to make these women's lives and passings mean something? Are we going to make them mean something, New York City? We need to take this opportunity to let people know that Asian Americans are here to stay. Asian Americans are just as American as everyone else. Asian Americans are just as human as everyone else. And I do remember vividly growing up, son of immigrants here in New York State, and feeling like my Americanness was being challenged at every turn. There weren't many of us on TV. I remember I would bug my parents every time Connie Chung came on TV until eventually they got tired of it. And I want to give another shout out to some of the Asian American artists and creatives and creators who are here today and who are making the case around the country. When I ran for president, you know some of the first people that gave me the time of day? The Fung Brothers, who are right there. We know that their parents were not that excited about their career choices, the Asian American creatives, you know what I mean? It's probably somewhere with running for office. So we need to get behind and support our Asian American artists and creatives as they tell their stories and ours, am I right? That is actually part of the process of humanization. That is the part of the process of people seeing that we have souls, hopes, dreams, fears, struggles. We may not wear them the same way other folks do, but we have them nonetheless. There were a number of reasons I decided to run for president, but I will confess to you all, there were several, but one of them was that I thought I had an opportunity to make that presidential debate stage, and I thought about what having an Asian American face on that stage would mean to our community. And then I said, you know, like that would have been a game changer for me as a young person, as a child, seeing someone on that stage. And I didn't just make that stage once, I made that stage 7 times, beating out governors, senators, members of Congress, and our current mayor. And I did this in part to demonstrate that there are no limits to what Asian Americans can do in this country. That we are not meant to be relegated to some particular role that has been prescribed. That we can lead, we can dream, we can help this country make sense of what is happening to it and help bring people together. When I was in Atlanta, I had the privilege of visiting Martin Luther King's childhood home, and as well as the King Center with Martin Luther King's son, Martin III. And I do want to give a special shout out also to our Black brothers and sisters who are here today and expressing solidarity with our community. We are are so grateful, in part because Asian Americans are not used to people sticking up for us, so thank you. But standing on the front stoop of Dr. King's childhood home with his son, as he looked out at the view that he woke up to every day as a child, and his son said to me, on the left you can see there are very affluent houses, and on the right you can see that there are people who are struggling. And Martin Luther King III said, this is the view that inspired my father to try and address what he saw as the three evils of our
Asia. Born and raised in New York City, proud New Yorker from Queens. I want to share with you guys why this rally is important to me. I see around me right now Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Indonesian. We all represent so many different nations, but the one thing that we have to be is united. We are Asian, we are united, we can never be divided, never ever forget that. All right, guys. So guys, I don't know about you guys, personally speaking, I can't even go on the train without looking over my left and right shoulder, fearing that someone might shove me onto the incoming 6. I don't know about you guys, but no one should have to live like that. And that's why this should be important to every single one of you New Yorkers. Not even that, what about our elders? What about them? Yeah! We stand here united for them as well. But enough of me yammering, I'd like to get this show started. So please, before we begin, I'd like to introduce Alice Tsoi is an Asian American pianist and actively decolonizing ABAR, anti-bias and anti-racist, music educator, scholar, and activist. Alice works to empower the individual and collective voices of youth through music as an expression. You can follow her on Instagram at musicwithmissalice. Please give it up for Alice Tsoi!
When you looked at my face and shied away from my gaze, people were terrified in 2020 of my mask and 2 eyes. Used to regard me by my Asian persuasion, I remind us that we're all part of one nation. We're spreading animosities and the black eyed peas. Can I have some peace with my black eyes, please? Let's come together as a world. Let's inspire. Yet still I rise. Shouts to Maya Angelou and Yuri Kochiyama. It's time for some introspection. Take a look at yourself for some personal reflection. Remember, the sun doesn't only shine in one direction. Instead of hate, we can unite in one direction. Memorialize lives. Heroes, she rose, they rise, we rise. Still we rise to remember these lives. Park Sun-chang, Jim Sun-cha, Yu Yong-ae, Jim Hyun-chang, Tan Xiaojie, Feng Daoyu, Delana Ashley Yon, Paul Andre Michaels. We remember them alongside so many Asian American lives lost, and we will honor them today in our community and our joy. My name is Alice Tsoi. That's T-S-U-I, pronounced Tsoi. And I am an actively anti-racist and decolonizing public music educator in Brooklyn, New York. I am a lifelong New Yorker. I grew up in New York City, in Brooklyn, and I am an ABC Asian-born Chinese, American-born Chinese daughter of two immigrants who are my elderly parents. I serve predominantly Black, Brown, Latinx was walking upstairs in school, a 5th grader stopped me and said, "Miss Alice, someone said you had coronavirus," and I found out it was another one of my 5th grade students who I had taught for many years. This week, a 4th grader called me China to my face, but in those moments, I could feel my extreme rage not at the children, but at the systems of our world that have led my students to say this. I am so mad at the toxicity of systemic racism that we breathe in, and specifically white supremacy for dividing my black children and I, an Asian American teacher in this world. A month ago, when I started to see the rise of anti-Asian violence yet again, but this time specifically against elderly people, I once again talked about this with my students. One of my 4th graders, a black boy, told me, Asian hate won't be on the news until more people die. What does this say about what my black and brown students know about our society and have already internalized? I saw this same student this week who said it's on the news now, but I reminded my students that it is important to question who is telling the story, how the story is told, and what isn't being said. Another 4th grader this week asked me if my parents are vaccinated, and I said yes, they are, but I am so scared for them to go outside, so I tell them to stay home as much as possible for their safety just because they're Asian. These are a few of the many necessary conversations on race and racism that must occur in all schools. Elementary, middle, high school, college, and everywhere we are. My call to action to you, everyone here, is to find those emails, those contact informations of principals, teachers, and the educational institutions that are supposed to serve us, that either you yourself have gone to, are in your neighborhoods, or are in the neighborhoods around the children that you see getting hurt, and not just the Asian neighborhoods, in every neighborhood. And these are the demands that I have already written, and you can find them and will be emailed to you afterwards. 1, acknowledge and teach Asian American history, lives, and arts, including and beyond Lunar New Year! 2, create spaces for AAPI educators and children to feel, process, and heal without the burden of educating others on what racism is. 3, empowering classmates and colleagues of the AAPI community to learn and speak against anti-Asian racism, because I'm tired. Our children are counting on you. Last year, one of my Asian American students said to me in Chinese, what Black Lives Matter means is that Black lives are brightly illuminated. And I want her to know that her Asian American life is also brightly illuminated. To the 13-year-old Asian American boy attacked by a group of teens throwing basketballs at his head in Flushing, your life is also brightly illuminated. To my Asian American community, I see you, I hear you, and we are here. To my fellow Asian American educators, take up space. True equity work does not exist in the black and white binary. And to all educators, we must work toward the collective liberation of all BBIA, Black, Brown, Indigenous, and Asian peoples, and all racially minoritized people. To my fellow Asian American women, AAPI women, I feel your pain, and my heart cannot stop feeling grief, and my racially occupied mind pounds with rage. I am here with you. I am worthy of safety, respect, and love. You are worthy of safety, respect, and love. To the allies, accomplices, and co-conspirators, I see you as we stand in solidarity, and I hope you are doing as much and everything that you can, including the action item I named before, to support us beyond this moment. To all Asian American children who are here today and watching wherever you are, I am here for you, and you can feel whatever it is that you are feeling. Please cheer for the Asian American children who are here. You matter. I want to tell you, children, that you matter. Your feelings matter. Your identity matters. Everything about who you are matters. You shine so bright with your golden light. Everyone, say this with me for our children. I shine bright with my golden light. 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 Teach the Asian American children in your lives to say this for themselves. I didn't know what an affirmation was until I started teaching them to my public elementary school students, because I was never taught them and I was never told to matter. I share these next affirmations with you for yourself, for ourselves as a community who is healing and a community who can celebrate our AAPI joy, because our community is golden. I will say that, and please repeat after me. I am worthy. My voice matters. My voice matters. I matter. I matter. For this next one, look at someone who you do not know in the eyes. Truly look at them and tell them, you matter. You matter. We matter. We matter. As Jack said before, when I say we are golden, you say we are worthy. We are golden. We are worthy. I want to end with this final note. My parents emigrated to the United States in the 1980s. They are in their 70s and 80s now, and after working so hard for their entire lives to support my brother and I cannot stay silent, and I must speak out to protect my family and all of our families so they do not need to live in fear. Yeah. My voice, because I know my voice has power. Our voices have power. Chayo, thank you.
Yulene, who just spoke, was unable to be there in person, and I spent a lot of my time holding up my iPhone to the microphone so she could speak to the crowd. And I think you can see why it's so important that we have her voice, and of course it's really especially wonderful to have her here in presence with in person and present with us with such powerful words. So I'm State Senator Brian Kavanaugh. I represent this community here in Chinatown, and you know, 14 months ago, very near here, we had a press conference with a lot of community leaders, and the message of that press conference, it was at the very, very beginning of the coronavirus showing up in the United States in our communities. And the message of that was, we were concerned about that, we were talking to public health officials about that, but we also wanted to make sure that this community was not going to experience the kind of discrimination, the kind of bigotry that we were already beginning to see. And a certain television station, Fox News, They decided to cover that press conference as this crazy idea. They said these people are more concerned about political correctness than they are about people's health. And the simple fact is that many people in this country cannot understand that we can care about things like public health, and we can also care about giving every human being in this country the respect they deserve. That this is a community that can talk about protecting itself and also earning and deserving the respect that every community deserves. So I'm going to be brief here today. Again, Yulene and so many others have spoken so eloquently, but I wanted to stand up here and say that, you know, as we stand here in Chinatown, an example of many of the things we're talking about, the long history of Asian American people in this community as part of America, as people who are striving for success, just like everybody else. And it's a community that was founded at a time when the racism and the bigotry were not subtle. They were not something anybody could ever miss. A community that had to create its own institutions, its own mutual support, because nobody from outside this community cared or would allow people to even access the most basic services. We've come a long way since then, but obviously we have not come far enough. So I just wanted to say, I stand with you in mourning and in anger over the deaths and the attacks that we've seen in this country. I stand with you in unity and solidarity as we celebrate the diversity within this community and all that this community contributes to the diversity of the United States. And I stand with you in demanding the respect, demanding the resources that my colleague Yulene talked about. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. People have been stealing it, and the hospital administrators didn't plan for this. Even though they knew it was coming, they're out of PPE. And he's like, you know, doctors or nurses eat. People have been stealing it, and the hospital administrators didn't plan. The hospital administrators didn't plan. The hospital administrators didn't plan.
Last spoke here 9 years ago, and I had ended the speech at the time with justice will be served. Justice is far from being served. I had spoken on behalf of an organization at the time called CASA, East Coast Asian American Student Union, which I worked with Alice. And many of you here, it was founded in 1977 at a time where the United States Supreme Court ruled in favor of a pre-med, argued that he could not get into medical school because he was white. And Asian Americans across the country raised, rallied, and fought, and created ICASU in the East Coast and MASU in the Midwest in support of black students